Hello and welcome to another video from the only source of information that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse, but actually enjoy it. And yes, my voice is better. My health is improved. Things are really looking up. And I've got 4 doctor's appointments over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks. So hopefully they can look at the results of what happened the last time and figure out a little bit, well, get a better idea of what's wrong with me. So anyway, we're going to talk today about what you can expect on September 23rd. I think everybody who watches my videos understands that prior to Jesus making his appearance, the Antichrist has to be revealed, but also the moon and our entire solar system has to be restored. The trees of life, waters of life, and even the positions of the moon and the planets relative to the earth and the sun. So what that means is, because people, I know this is complicated, but I'm trying my best right now to explain this in very simple terms. In the beginning, God looked around, he saw that everything was very good. In the end, in Revelation, it says God looked and saw that everything was very good again. So apparently, what God designed into the earth when he first created it is what he intended it to stay at. You know, obviously, not really. He understood human beings were going to sin and that this whole process would have to take place. But he did say it was very good in the beginning and it's going to be very good again. And as part of that, he describes the trees of life coming back, the waters of life coming back, Jesus returning with the resurrected dead. But also, he talks a lot about the celestial phenomenon that we would witness. He doesn't say everything, but he says enough. When Jesus was asked about the last days, he said, well, look, and if you read this in an English Bible, it's going to see there will be earthquakes and famines and wars and false prophets. But what it really says is that false prophets will be telling you about famines and earthquakes and wars and pestilence. But it's really going to be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars. And so in the book of Revelation, it describes a lot of what those signs are going to look like. A big one is going to be some changes to the moon. Initially, when God said everything was very good, he said he made 2 great luminaries for the sky, one to rule over the day and one to rule over the night. Well, of course, that's not the way it works now. The sun sometimes moves into the daytime sky, and when it does, it's not full. So you'll see slivers of moon, which are called crescents, and you'll see half moons. But in general, at the very beginning, there was only a full moon. Twice a year there would be a lunar eclipse, one on the eastern part of the earth, and then 6 months later, one in the western part of the earth. But this is what a full moon looks like, and this is just an example of another phase. This is when it's at a half moon. Now, what's important about this is that in order to achieve these 2 different appearances, the moon has to be in 2 different positions. I'm going to explain why. Okay, this one, you see the earth or the sun is right here. It's shining on the earth, which it's also shining on the moon. And so from our perspective here on the earth, the moon looks full. See, if you're on the earth and you're looking at the moon, you're only going to be able to see the side that's lit up. Now, another way that this can go is like this. The moon is going around the earth, right? And so when the sun is over here shining this way, it's going to illuminate half of the moon. And so from our perspective on the earth, we'll be able to see the dark side of the moon and the lit side of the moon at the same time. That would have caused the moon to look like this. The reason I'm explaining this to you is because the moon has to circle the earth every 29 and a half days to achieve this changes in its appearance. It's going this direction. We know that on September 22nd, the charts for moon phases say that the moon is going to be a half moon. So on the 22nd, the moon should look like this. But on the 23rd, it should look like this too. The changes to the moon do not happen, dramatically. They're very, very slow. So if you go look at the moon every day, it'll actually look the same way that it looked the day before. But over time, the appearance changes. So this is about, to go from this to full, should take about a week, right? About that. So it's impossible for this to happen from this over a 24-hour cycle. It would take a week normally. If we consider that the earth is going to continue in the same trajectory, then we should be a 7-day cycle, and we should be able to witness the moon going from there to here. That's drastic. If you're standing out there in the United States and this is what happens, then you're going to see the moon shooting across the sky. Now, it may take place over the course of a week, so you may be able to go outside a week before this happens and see that something isn't right. And if you go out there every day and it's taking place slowly over a week, then you'll notice it. It'll be significant. But it could take place over the course of a couple of minutes, My take on it is that in the ancient past, the Jews celebrated the beginning of a new day at sunset. And the reason for this is simple. They didn't have, like we have, these real precision timepieces now. Their only precise moment during the day was sunset, because they could actually watch as the sun went down. And they could see the moment when it disappeared beneath the horizon. Middle of the day, middle of the night, not really easy to tell exactly what time it is. But you could always know it was sundown by looking at the sun at sundown. Problem with that, why I don't think that we have to go by that today for what's going to happen on the 23rd, is that sundown is a different time for everybody. God's time is not different from day to day as one time. So he'd be more like us. We're the modern man, we've got to watch. So our day changes at midnight. And so I got to thinking about it. So what would God choose? I mean, he can't choose sundown, since every sundown is different. He can't just say midnight arbitrarily, because that's how we came up with that number, is arbitrarily. But there is an actual event that is celestial that God could go by, because the solar system is basically God's time-keeping piece. And so the chart says, and I done shut it down, but the chart says that we should get the equinox should take place at precisely 2 something in the morning. As we get closer, I'll give you the precise time. But I really think that's how it's going to go down, is that whatever changes take place, they're going to go into effect at exactly the equinox, which we know precisely when the equinox is going to take place. And what we should see, like I say, is either the moon shooting across the sky, if God allows it to continue on the same path it's already taken. But there's a very good possibility that just for dramatic effect, God will make the moon go the other direction. As you can see, the moon only has to travel a quarter way around the earth if it continues in its current trajectory. But if it goes the other way, it has to actually cross over 3/4 of the earth. And since we could see it from either end, that would be great, because it would give access to the whole world to this event. Because you would, if it goes down like that, here in the Western world, the United States, we would see the moon going that way, heading east, and then reappearing in the west. So that would be really, really cool. And that's probably the way it's going to happen. And it probably will happen, or it'll be completed by 2 a.m. or 2:15, whatever it is, in the morning of the 23rd of September. So you're not going to live through the 23rd of September and see this happen that night. At the very early stages of the 23rd, in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, you should see this. Now, if it could potentially start at midnight and travel all the way around the world at 2 in the morning. But, I mean, then that would be a 2-hour event. But it could, like I said, it could end up being instantaneous. I don't know. Anyway, I'll try to keep you updated on different things that, I'm figuring out as we get closer. I don't know that I really have a whole lot more to figure out, but I do talk to people about this stuff every day, and I get a lot of good ideas. If this doesn't happen on the 23rd, I'm going to be very disappointed, and I'm going to feel bad because I know what disappointment feels like, and I know from talking to my subscribers that everybody wants this as bad as I do. Anyways, love y'all, and if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.